All right, so today we'll be discussing the stakeholder analysis and the communications plan, which are part of project communications management. And there's this old adage in project management training that 90% of a project manager's work is communications. This is because the work that is done in the project, the what you place into WBS, if you are a full-time project manager, your work is actually the project management work, which is what we have been talking about in the past weeks, and which we will continue talking about in the next weeks. But the actual execution of the tasks inside or in the work within structure are, if you are a full-time project manager, are done by your project team. Most of us are also resources in our own projects. That's why we take part in the execution of the WBS. But um, but in that case, we are not working as a project manager. We are working as as a developer, as a communication specialist, as a blogger, as an organizer, whatever. Um, so the plan here, when whatever we create in project management, the way we transmit that is through communications. So whether it is to persuade a project board to approve the project, whether it is to influence our project team to focus on certain tasks at the specific time frame, or whether it is to get feedback from your users. So we are using communications. So in this in project communications management, there are two tools which I normally use. They are the stakeholder analysis and the communications plan. So they're very straightforward. I'll go straight to just showing them. So the stakeholder analysis, we used this earlier. It's really this part. Let me just hide this first. Let's see if I can hide this. There. Mm, let's just delete this. Okay. So the stakeholder analysis is really just three things. First, you want to list down your stakeholders, and then you you figure out, or you brainstorm with your team or by yourself. What are they interested in this project? And second, what do you need from them in this project? So this is the basic way of doing stakeholder analysis. There are other more sophisticated tools, like for instance, the empathy map by Explain. This is the empathy map. This is the latest version of that empathy map. So this is essentially like a way of well, empathizing with the different stakeholders of your project. And then uh, you also have the customer profiles or customer archetypes. You could also use that. And then the value proposition canvas. So these are more detailed ways of analyzing your customers. Um, yes, you can easily Google them, but it's the most basic is really just knowing for each stakeholders what they're interested in the project, what's in it for them, and their influence in the project, what we need from them. So let's look at an example. So one example here is the here. This is an example of that, of a communications plan. So this is an actual project. You might have seen this project being created in one of my videos. So this project, this is a crowdfunding project, and so who are our stakeholders in this project? So stakeholders is anyone who is positively or negatively impacted by the project. So in this case, we thought of like the donors, the crowdfunding team, meaning the team who will ask donors, the project team, the team that will execute the project, prepare the fundraising materials and all that. And then the supporters, meaning people who would tweet about it and then forward to their friends and help us essentially through their social media. And so for this one, we thought like it would be similar to everyone. So for this project where we're raising funding for sequencing of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, so why would people help out in that? So this one is going to be located in the Philippines. Well, this is like historic. I mean, this has not been done before. All the sequencing has been funded by governments. So in this case, this will be the first time that this will be done. So the people will probably like to be part of something historic. And then, well, we plan to make a plaque here about this, and then their names will be there. So they will be immortalized through that, and then they will make an impact to the developing world. And then what we need from them are donations, and it's sort of the same for the rest. Why they're interested in this is more or less the same. So these are our speculations on what this is. So we will find out more if we start talking to them, if we start testing these face to face. So what are people truly interested in? I mean, you could see this in their reactions. You see their eyes dilate. You see their, this is the advantage of pitching face to face, because you get a lot of that, that physical reaction to your pitch. But this is our initial um, hypothesis of what why people would help, and this is what we need from them. No? So this is pretty straightforward. You can do this in 15 minutes for your project. Um, the next is the communications management plan. So in here, what we did here is that we created another table, because there was a time when you didn't have this feature yet, which you could extend the whole view, the text to the entire screen. So, but we could actually, let me see if I could do that, undo what I did. Uh, so if we undo this, because we did this morning, you just actually need to um, place here for each stakeholder. You want to know what message you want to deliver to them, the what. Yeah? And then, so based on their interest and their influence on the project, so it's usually, so you give, so what will the project give them? And then you ask, so how could you help in the project? And then next is the message. So what is the message? So for instance, for the donors in the project, our crowdfunding project, is that okay? So you'll be part of this historic event, but we need your help to make this happen. Something like that. The how is like what medium? Will it be an email? Will it be a face-to-face conversation? Will it be a talk? Will it be a tweet? So what's the medium for this message? It could be multiple media for each message. The the timing and frequency, when. So when will you deliver the message? Or if like it's a weekly meeting, so so what day of the week, what's the schedule? So you wanna plan that as well. And then the who owns the communications of this, or delivery of the communications, creating the email, for instance, organizing the talk, for instance. So let's take a look at our example here. So for this communications plan, we have several messages for several media for the donors. So we have the video and the landing page. For this project, these two are the most important media. So essentially the same message, because what will happen is that we will be using a crowdfunding platform, and then the moment of truth is that whether or not they will donate through the crowdfunding platform. So our only tool for doing that, for persuading them, are the the video and then the words that we place in the landing page. So um, yeah, we will be focusing on, okay, this is historic, be part of it, help the developing world, because uh, the we need your help, otherwise it will not happen for the developing world. And then there are other messages as well. For instance, uh, the thank you message once they donate, updating them of the progress, and then thanking them again once we have completed the project. So these are all planned. So we have dates there, and then since for this project, I am the owner of all the communications. Just to make it simple, um, yeah, it's not a lot. So yeah, so this is it. This is the communications management plan. Um, that's basically it. Do you have any questions, Bruno?
No questions so far. Um, I didn't get exactly the table you had. Personally, I prefer two tables
Okay. All right.
because in the second table you will have many rows for each stakeholder.
Mhm,
So it's I mean, on one table you define them, on one table you say what you do with them.
mhm.
I think it makes more sense for me.
Cool.
uh, I have one thing, but it's not really related to the course. But when you talk about donors,
Mhm,
I'm thinking about customers for me.
mhm,
And one thing I always forget, and which is critical, is to get a testimonial from them or
mm,
a recommendation,
mhm. That is
because that's how the viral machine is working. Is that uh, you are expecting them not only to donate but to share the fact that
mhm,
they did donate. Like this,
mhm,
they
mhm,
will propagate, and also if somebody else will come, they will see that other people gave, and it will encourage them to do the same, because we are very influenced by other people, what other people are doing. uh, and one of the interesting thing of that, it's a form of communication where we we will use what they give to us as part of communication for the next group of people. It's a reentrant loop. It's a recursive loop, if you like. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
that's
we will incorporate the testimonial into the communication for the next donors.
yes, yeah, that's in our case actually, there's probably the testimonials from scientists,
Oh yes, there is also that, of course.
because this is I'll just I'll just make sure that I remember where this comes from. Yeah. Um. Yeah. And then that's correct. That's correct. The we could add here. We could add. Yeah. That's very good. We could actually add here um a another task here, which is like to please help us by sending to your friends or something like that.
Yeah, that's a direct recommendation. Yes.
You may, yeah. Yeah, and then also, yeah. So you're saying that this could also be asked for um what you call this, employee.
Testimonial,
Yeah,
testimonial, and uh,
it might
I don't know
be.
in in marketing we call it a net recommended score,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know how to NRS.
NPS or something like that.
Yes,
Net
maybe.
promoter score. Net promoter
Yeah,
score.
yeah.
Yeah, this might be different, Bruno, because like for in our case, the one benefiting from the product is different from the one paying. So the one paying are the donors, but the ones benefiting are like scientists from labs in the Philippines, for instance. So maybe it could be a thank you message from the labs, and then it will be shown to future donors. Oh, okay, this is gonna be the impact. They see scientists from the developing world, um, what you call this, um, being benefiting from their donation.
Well, the thing is that the communication can be, what is interesting is that the communication can go from stakeholders to stakeholders. I mean,
Yeah.
we are facilitating it, we are making it possible, but
Mhm.
we are not the source of the message. Another thing I was a little bit interested is in the stakeholders. So you will have, if you look from the a business Canva point of view,
Mhm.
the stakeholders are almost everyone. And of course, half of them, we will not interview them or make personas. So let's say a supplier in a business canvas
Mhm.
mentality,
Mhm.
a supplier will be a stakeholder,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
you are not going to interview him and make an empathy map of the supplier.
Yep. Yep. Actually, I rarely use the empathy map. It's only for like um, key what you call this, stakeholders. Like for
Yes.
instance, in this case, I'll probably only use this if I'm going to use this for donors. Like if we, because like you could see here, like all the communications are really
Mhm.
concentrated on donors. So that yeah, that's correct. We don't use all the tools for everyone. It's too much workload.
Yeah, there are really two types of stakeholders. There are stakeholders we depend on, so we have to communicate to have the project running.
Hmm.
But in the same time, there are numerous and we don't really know them. So that's where personas and empathy map helps because it makes them more tangible.
Yep.
But
Uh,
the project team, for example, we are supposed to know them since we meet them all the time. So
mhm.
we
Yeah, it's still well, if you have time, it's still a useful what you call this exercise to actually use the empathy map for your project team. Like for instance, your personal, at least my personal motivations for being a part of the project, especially this one, which is a volunteer project, is different from, for instance, a scientist, a career scientist who helps out in this. So it's like they're interested more in, I imagine, publishing, progress in their careers, scientific impact. So it's like it's I find it helpful to put myself in their shoes using this tool.
okay. Now that's a good idea. It relates a little bit with the charter where what you explained is that the charter helps to motivate people and to and onboard them into the project.
Mhm.
So it could be another tool, which is to interview people who are part of the project to have a better understanding of what are their motivation, their intrinsic motivation in being part of the project. Very good. I agree. It can be used like this, true.
Cool. So
Great.
yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Do you think this could be helpful in your project right now?
The list of stakeholders, that's something I'm used to because I practice I use the business model canvas and all the tools from Alex and David. So, but the communication plan, that's new for me. That's a good idea. I have not thought of doing it like this. That's something I could use. I agree. It's a good idea.
Cool. All right. So I hope this is useful for you. If there's nothing else, Bruno, then yeah, well, that's basically it.
That was a good session,
Thank you.
and I will continue my day. Yesterday I made a Twitter chat on
Mhm.
Working Out Loud,
Okay.
which is a little bit this practice of sharing your work as you make progress.
Hmm.
Something we are getting used to because many people in the open source community are using it, and many people who are sharing their work. And it could fit into a communication plan like this.
Mm.
If you were doing a project, you could have a slot, which is that you have a stakeholder, which is the public.
Hmm.
So that's very vast because it will include almost everybody in the world. And you have a channel to communicate with them, which is to share your work on Twitter and share your work on YouTube, maybe.
Hmm.
And you could share regular progress of the project. So that's a way I would like to use this. I have to think about it.
Yep. It's a way to strategize that, like, just maximizing all the, also a way to maximize all the possible content you are creating, like this
Mm-hmm.
one. So we're talking here, we're recording this, and this is also a, I mean, if I'm going to fit this into the communications management plan of the book, then I could also use this content for the stakeholders of possible future readers. So I place this in YouTube and I post this in Twitter. So this might help someone, possible
Exactly.
reader. Yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah, you don't need to start with stakeholders. You can also start with the medium. So the medium here is like we have this video. So it might be useful for someone, might be valuable for someone.
Oh, the stakeholder is the public. It's vast. But it's still a stakeholder.
Yep. Yep.
If you take the business model canvas, you would have suppliers as stakeholders. You would have the state because you are going to pay, not in your case, but in a business, you are going to pay taxes.
Yep.
In exchange of the taxes, you are going to have road, you are going to have education,
Hmm.
which means that if you hire people, you are going to find people with the level of competencies that you need. So the state is a stakeholder as well, even if you have no action on it. I mean, you cannot do something with the state, but it's still there.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
you have abstract stakeholders like this.
Yep.
Okay, very interesting.
All right.
Now apply. I'm working on it, but I'm not using Rome for doing this because I will show you what I'm using it another day, but
Sure. Sure.
it's a different tool.
Yeah. I used to use a spreadsheet for this. As you know, that's that's how I. Anyway, you could use many tools for this. That's really up to you. Cool.
The communication plan today, I think if I was part of a larger group, the communication plan, not the stakeholders definition, but the communication plan it would fit nicely in a Notion database or
Mm,
in something like this. Because very often you will have plenty of people, and people will want to, for example, to come and say, okay, here we need this digital asset. This picture was done, so you want to add the link to the asset,
mhm.
and so the table will grow because there will be plenty of rows added. Maybe you will have a workflow like is it available, is it ready, is it has it been approved. Do you see it like this, or do you think I'm stretching too far?
Um, what I would do is I want all my actions in the WBS. So what I want to do
Mhm.
is like I'll just move them there. I'll reference them from this one. So the communications management plan is to use it for planning, but for execution, I want everything to pass through the WBS.
Okay. Okay. So there will be a link between this and the WBS.
Definitely, definitely. So whatever whatever you do here or whatever you write here, it should be in the WBS. So that's part of this. That's why earlier, actually, when you suggested that, I I added it to the WBS of this project because yeah, that's the central point for all the actions, um, the tasks for this uh, project. So, for instance, this one.
Let me check. Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. Yeah, is that all, Bruno? We could if
We can
you
stop.
yeah, let me stop the recording.